Just listen to it the whole way. During the race. 2 hours killed it.
The conversation with Mike Medell.
Yeah.
We got into a conversation after night number one.
Movie quoting it.
And I think we quoted every good line
there was. Everything, the entire movie.
All of them were doing it.
From start to beginning, we were just throwing out quotes.
Well, then we rolled into Pulp Fiction.
Yep.
Yeah.
No, I think we started with Pulp Fiction.
Started with Pulp. Ended up in Friday.
We got into Smokey.
Yeah, and it just was. I'll tell you right now,
So
if you guys want to have some fun at the racetrack, find Mike Medell and his crew and hang out.
Yeah,
I guarantee you will laugh with your throat and your sides hurting because you're gonna leave in pain because you laugh so much.
Mm-hmm.
That was a fun time.
My cheeks hurt.
Oh man,
yep.
I think that was what took me so long to recover from the weekend was that whole conversation.
That was a good time.
Yeah, it was a good time. It's always a good time hanging out with heavy metal.
Heavy metal.
I call him Heavy Metal Mike Medell because he's the music he listens to. You better have some headgear on when you listen to it. You know what I mean?
Headbanging stuff.
Ain't that bad?
He's hardcore, man.
Ain't that bad?
He's hardcore, but
it's good music.
A lot of good times. A lot of good times coming up at Southern Oregon Speedway. As we start closing out the season with
2
championship
more
night.
weeks.
Looking forward to getting out there and hanging out with the crew. And I'm going to tell you something right now. I wanted to bring this up before we wrap the show up. There were some comments made, and I'm not directing this at anybody. I'm just talking about some of the stuff that was said on social media. And I understand the comments. I get them. I understand, comments being made about certain calls not being made or things not happening and saying that I'm not coming back to Southern Oregon and they run their show terrible, this and that. Here's the thing. The show at Southern Oregon runs very, very well. There are some very good people that run that show. This weekend, I think you had probably the best of the best when it comes to race directors, Bob Valencia, and the scorekeeper with Mike. Okay. Unfortunately, on the second day, because of the activity on the radio, and there was a lot, Bob Valencia's radio dies. Or was dying in the process, which is about dead, and it wasn't working very well. So the communication between him and the flagman, they were struggling to communicate with the radios that they had. And there were some missed calls, okay? It wasn't that anybody wasn't doing their job or doesn't know what they are doing. It was simply the radio system was not working 100%. And that in itself is going to create some issues.
Yeah, but it's like any sport that you watch, though. Somebody's yelling at somebody just because it's just a passion and love for the game.
Well, it is, and if you could see from our
we're there. We're also right next to them watching.
We can see how frustrated they are. So it's not just the drivers.
It's not
that
right.
What the heck is going on?
Bob Valencia at times that night were just as frustrated as anybody else when he can't communicate to make the call because the radio was failing. Okay, and that's not because it's a bad radio. It's not because nobody knows what they're doing. It's simply because the activity was so great as he's making his calls, the battery was going. Okay, and I'm not making excuses. I'm telling you firsthand what Sandy and I saw. He was every bit as, and Don Martin as well, every bit as frustrated as anybody else there because of the fact they couldn't make a certain call in time before we had to go racing or under certain conditions. Okay, I will tell you right now, when it comes to race directors, you are not going to work with anybody better than Bob Valencia. I'm going to say that right now. I've worked with a lot of them, okay? And I've worked with a lot of good ones. But I'm telling you, hands down, if you listen to how Bob communicates on that radio, the information that he gives, and how he handles situations, he is the best of the best, okay? Unfortunately, there was some communication issues, and that did make for some frustrating moments for everybody. But you got to do the best you can to keep the show rolling. Unfortunately, there were some guys that were the benefactor or whatever of some missed calls because of communication. That's how it goes. It's how it goes sometimes, and unfortunately, like Nina said, it happens in every football game. It happens in every basketball game. Whatever the case may be. Those same guys have been the benefactors of some good calls. They understand this, and they're talented drivers. And I understand why they're frustrated. I get it. They were frustrated too. It's just kind of, you take your ups and downs. Life goes on, but I get it. Big show, big money on the line.
passion is involved.
Absolutely. And I get both sides. I saw it. I saw some drivers in the booth coming up asking questions of what happened, why was that, and this is it. This is what's going on. So there were moments for everybody. And as an announcer, there were some moments that were frustrating. But you have to do what you have to do to keep the show going. And sometimes, it's not just the race director. Sometimes a guy doesn't have his receiver on or isn't even wearing one, and that holds up the show. And sometimes that guy will cost himself 2 or 3 spots on a restart because he can't hear the director. And I'll tell you right now, as a racer, if I know the guy in front of me is fast and the receiver, the race director is telling him to pick up 3 spots on the restart, hey, car number 00, move up 3 spots. And I can hear that on my receiver. Do you think I'm going to pull up next to him and tell him move up 3 spots? I'm not saying a word, man. I'm not. If his receiver isn't on, I'm not going to tell him. Why would I? Why would I give the guy I'm racing with for position 3 more spots? You know what I mean? I'm not saying anything.
Makes sense.
Would you, Nina?
Probably. I'm one of those people.
Gary?
Well, I remember that happening one time there. The guy was supposed to move up, and they said, well, I guess he's going to stay at the back.
You know what I'm
But
talking
I would
about.
probably be
Well,
giving
he
him
had
the
one of
number one
drivers,
thing.
His wife told me that his receiver was broken. One of the kids stepped on it.
Well,
And I told him, I
know.
said, tomorrow, if he needs a receiver, he can borrow mine because I keep one with me.
Mm-hmm.
So I said, but he got another one by then. So, but I'd give
We'll
mine
see,
to
you never
somebody if
know.
they needed it.
Mm-hmm.
Would you tell the guy in front of you to move up 3 spots, Gary?
No.
No, I wouldn't.
Are you kidding me?
I'm
Dave?
sorry. I'd pretend like I didn't know what was going on.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Why
Yeah.
would you do that? I mean, yeah.
I'm racing with this guy for big money. I'm not going to give him 3 spots. I'm not going to pull him and say, hey, buddy, move up 3 spots.
Well, how are you
Sorry,
going to
dude.
tell him? You're going to put your head
No,
out
you hold
and
up
yell
3
at him?
fingers and you point forward like
Yes.
this.
Oh, he's going to think you're flipping him off 3
No.
ways.
No.
3 different birds.
Listen,
3 different birds.
It's a 3-way flip-off.
We as racers understand hand signals very well. We've been
Yeah.
around the game. We know what hand signal. You can tell a guy 3 and point up like a flagman would.
And you know exactly what
Yeah.
it
If I knew the driver, and I knew
I
that the
would if I
receiver
knew
wasn't
him.
working, I'd point
If I'm from
up.
Right.
from up
and-
here,
No.
guy's from California, he doesn't have his receiver. That's his problem. If he doesn't have it, why not?
I'm not telling him.
Everybody should have a backup receiver.
Everybody should have a receiver.
Yeah.
It's
Or-
mandatory. It says right
I
mandatory.
thought it's mandatory.
But not everybody carries a back end either. And look
Or
what
let's
happens.
say it fails. Or
That's true.
Stuff happens.
I
Do you
get
know-
it. Things happen, but and there was a couple times this weekend the
There
race
was a
director had to
driver.
say, you know what? All right, he's staying there. Let's go.
There
Get
was
the
a
show
driver
going.
that did
Yeah.
not have. He did everything. It was on the right channel. Everything was set up, but it did not work the whole time he was on the track.
Okay.
Ooh, that's not good.
No.
Yeah. that's
Unfortunate.
Well, just so you know, if anybody needs one, I have one. They can borrow it.
But again, I'm telling you guys right now, the people that were coming down personally on Bob Valencia and the crew, I hope you have a better understanding of what and why now. It wasn't anything personal. It wasn't that he doesn't know he's the best of the best. He knows exactly what he's doing. He's been doing it a long time. And unfortunately, there was just some radio communication issues that, created a couple of moments that weren't ideal. That's how it goes sometimes. We move on to the next race, and we keep on trucking.
I've seen it happen in NASCAR. I mean, guys got
Happens.
thousands of dollars worth of equipment, and it fails.
Yep,
Yeah.
They go through the same thing.
Yep.
Yep.
that's racing, Anything else anybody wants to discuss?
I'm really looking forward to the lasagna upstairs, so
Yeah.
I think I'm good.
I can smell it.
You can smell it. You
I can smell it.
You can.
I can smell it.
Eddie Murphy.
Oh, is it still live?
Oh my gosh, here we go,
Hey,
guys.
you can
Listen
Still
here.
racing.
Listen here. You can smell it?
Maybe the car will run this time.
We just lost half our audience.
We did.
Anyway,
Time to go eat
it's time
dinner.
to step
Wow.
out of here. It's been a
Sure.
good 2 hours here on West Coast Wide Open. We're going to catch you guys next Wednesday night as we recap championship night number 1 from Southern Oregon Speedway. We may have some other news that, like I mentioned earlier in the show, something I've got going on.
Ooh.
We'll find out more about that. Something I'm very excited about. I know you guys know, but It's going to be
fun.
It's going to be a good thing for everybody on the West Coast if this, when this happens. Not if, it's when. It's going to happen. It's just we don't know the exact timeline yet.
Yeah, we're turning Sears Point into a dirt track.
No, we're not. Don't listen to Dave.
Oh, I let it out. Oh, my goodness.
Don't listen to
I hate
Dave.
when that happens.
Anyway, you guys, we appreciate you listening. Have a good week. We'll catch you up with you Saturday night at Southern Oregon Speedway or at a racetrack here on the West Coast. You guys have a great night. Thanks for listening. We'll talk to you next Wednesday night, West Coast Wide Open at 6 o'clock.